This is the second half of the awesome episode we did on referrals. So if you haven't heard the first episode, stop here, go back, and then I'll see you when you get back here. So really, why can't referrals alone scale a business? Well, referrals by nature are unpredictable. They are volume limited by nature, by themselves. They are relationship dependent. They are slow to compound. They're hard to measure because you just don't know a lot of things. You can't double your income by hoping, depending on hope, that twice as many people mention your name somehow miraculously. It's got to be controlled. Everything that I've just spoken about can be controlled, and that's what you've got to do. If you can't scale with just referrals, what does it take to scale and have predictable growth? What does it take to have predictable growth if you can't scale with just referrals? Well, it requires a few things. It requires clear positioning. That's got to be purposeful. It's got to be planned. It requires direct marketing channels that are correctly set up and they're monitored by you or somebody that you've designated to monitor them. It takes controlled lead flow, which that can be forms on a website, lead magnets, relationship leads, all of these things that we talk about in the community. It can be repeatable and reliable processes and systems. You have got to start thinking ahead before you have to hurt, okay? So what happens in our business is sometimes we wait until it's too late. We wait until something's happening to react to it. And right now, I want you to think ahead about what could happen and go ahead and push and act like it's happening so that you're not only prepared, but you're absolutely ready and you're testing and you know that it's going to work. You know. So to scale and have predictable growth, you have to have all of those things. And in the community that I keep mentioning, it's so important. Some of the lessons that we teach in there about foundational things that we don't learn, we don't do in the beginning of our business, and then later on we hurt. And I've talked about a few of those things, but there's something called the relationship advantage. It's a lesson that we have, and in that we cover relationships. And the foundation of a relationship is what? It's trust. We talked about this a little bit in the last episode. So here's the question. Can vendors and venues and clients describe you and your business in one sentence? That's the question. Can vendors, venues, and clients describe you and your business in one sentence? If they can't describe you and your business in one sentence, they won't confidently refer you. This is very important, okay? This is the clarity that we're talking about gaining. Clarity's got to be in your mind. The customer, the other vendors, venues, and everybody that experiences you or your business, they have to have this clarity. You've heard of an elevator pitch. Many people talk about when you have a business, you got to have your elevator pitch. When you're in an elevator for 10 seconds, you tell somebody what your business is, it describes, they know exactly what it is you do. Well, if everyone that knows about your business or has experience dealing with your business knows that elevator pitch. They know the elevator pitch that describes your incredible services, what you do, and how you make them feel. This one sentence that I'm asking you to get, it is a game changer. But when somebody only knows you by that photographer, that planner, that officiant, it's bad. It's just bad for business. And you're not going to grow, you're not going to scale. So how can you turn referrals into a system? That's the big question. Okay, I'm going to give you some insider information here, okay? Some advice that took me years to learn, to see it how it was, to clean it up and get clarity and figure out what a plan was to execute, to take that lesson I learned and turn it into more business, more couples, more profit, a better business. So this is what I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to go over everything, but I want to kind of skim the layer of all of this because it goes so deep, and how to start to build the foundation of a referral system. So here are some questions that have got to be answered, and you are the only one that can answer them for your business. All right. The goal here is not to completely abandon referrals. That's not the goal. That's not what you should do. Don't be afraid that referrals might not sustain my business or they might not provide me constant leads. The goal here is to see them a little differently and to engineer referrals. So here's the question. How in the world do you engineer referrals, right? You've got to understand that there are 3 pillars to this, and we're going to go over these, so don't panic when I read them. The first one is define your referral position, okay? We're going to go over it. The second one is build relationship cadence. And the third one is diversify lead control. So what does this mean? Well, number 1, define your referral position. Before I tell you what it is, I want you to answer these 3 questions. So here are the 3 questions. What are you known for, or what do you want to be known for? Number 2, what specific type of client fits you? Okay? Not client that you serve, but that fits you, your business model. Number 3 is what problem do you solve best? Okay? These questions, these 3 questions have got to be clearly answered. Because remember, if vendors can't define you, they can't refer you. So these 3 questions will define your referral position. So the goal should be to be able to give me a short answer for all 3 of these. Those answers quickly. You don't have to memorize a long paragraph, but you should be able to say those 3 things pretty quickly. Your referral position, elevator pitch. Number 2, the build relationship cadence. What does that mean? Well, instead of let me know if you need anything, and then walking away from a venue who you've just asked to be on their preferred vendor list and never talking to them or bothering them unless they contact you, that is a huge mistake, and that is basically not even trying to be on a preferred vendor list by contacting them and them saying, yeah, we'll put you on there. Even that is dangerous. What if they don't put you on there? You've got to move to quarterly check-ins with your preferred vendor list people, the people that are going to refer you, the people that you talk to about referring you. You've got to move to intentional appreciation of them, okay? Not once a year, more often than that. You've got to have a calendar and a schedule for that. You've got to have co-marketing efforts. That means you work together and they see you not as just some other vendor they use. They see you as a business partner, and you're helping them grow their business by the things you're doing, and they're helping you grow your business by sending you more leads. You've got to move to venue collaboration. How are you going to collaborate with them? How are you going to get in a package and work on a package together them that benefits both people? You've got to get to an SGP calendar, a strategic growth partnership calendar. When you do these things, they become a strategic growth partner. That's what I talk about. That's this little guide that I wrote a while back. In fact, I'm gonna I'm going to take that guide and I'm going to put it after this episode in our school community. So if you want the original guide that I wrote, the guide to building wedding business relationships, if you want that original guide, become part of the free school community. I'm going to put it in there. When you do these things and you start creating strategic growth partnerships, this moves from passive to strategy, from passive to strategic. If you want to learn this stuff, start proactively trying to learn it. Become part of that community and start diving into this. Start asking questions. Start talking to other business owners. And then number 3, we haven't gone over yet, diversify lead control. So you've got to understand these 3 pillars. The first one was define your referral position. I told you the 3 questions to answer. The second one, build relationship cadence. And I told you how to do that, how to start building strategic growth partnerships. Number 3, diversify lead control. Healthy wedding businesses do not depend on one pipeline. You cannot. If you want to be a healthy business that can scale, that is in the middle of a growth season and continually growing, always moving forward and up, you can't depend on one pipeline. There's so many lead sources. I taught all of the lead sources, or not all of them, but a lot of them, and how to use them in the Wedding Pro playbook. And I'm trying to move a lot of that to the community. And I say all that to say this. I had a list. I'm trying to remember what the list was called, but basically it was a list of every marketing opportunity that I could think of when I sat down one time. I think it was like 75 or 76 of them that I wrote down, and they were really good. And I turned that into a little guide and I gave it away with a free training. But anyway, I say all that to say there are a lot out there. You've got to use more lead sources. And for those of you who have the book, the Wedding Pros Playbook, you remember when I taught the on, off, in, and out principles, okay? That was for marketing and leads. And basically each one of those was a whole segment of marketing and where to market and how to market. And online, on was online, off was offline, in was in person, and so on. And those were the principles. And then we dove into all of the ways to get leads and how many places that you could get free leads. There are so many: direct inquiries, automated inquiries, search engine optimization, email list, community building, partnerships, strategic growth partnerships, all of these things. We went down this list. In fact, I'm feeling generous this episode. So I said I was going to take the guide to building wedding business relationships and I was going to put it in our free school community. I am going to find that, what do I call that? I don't even know what to call it. That marketing sheet that I'm talking about, I'll call it the marketing opportunities guide. I'm going to take that and I'm going to put that in our free school community. So if you want it, go to the school community. We'd love to have you there anyway, but you'll get some really good benefits here because I'm going to go ahead and put in the old guide to building wedding business relationships, and I'm going to put in the marketing opportunities guide that has like 75 or 76 free ideas of places to market. So go there, get those. Anyway, moving on. Referrals should be a pillar in your business. They should not be the foundation. Your business should have several different pillars, lead sources, marketing areas, marketing opportunities. They definitely will be a major part of bringing in new customers. Don't get me wrong. If you build the referral system correctly, though, you won't have to have hope and hope that you're getting them. It will actually work for you and bring in referrals when you need them, and sometimes when you don't need them, but that's good. So there's a difference between hoping someone sends you couples and then building the strategic growth partnerships that I just talked about a second ago. And that's the only right way to do it. And after this episode, I want you to think through the areas in your business that are weak. It might not be word of mouth. You might not be depending on word of mouth. You might not be depending on referrals. Maybe that's not a big part of your business at all, and you want to start implementing that, and you do want to build that system. Maybe there's something, though, that you are completely dependent on that you need to rework and figure out how to stop and reverse that and build other pillars so that you're not completely dependent on that. When I talk about, though, the strategic growth partnerships, from my experience of building actual partnerships that are strategic and that are aimed to grow my business and their business, what really am I talking about? Who fits that bill? Well, they have to be somebody who's willing to be intentional with their actions to help you. Because you're intentional with your actions, you're helping them. They have to be mutual. You have almost got to be, you don't have to be friends, but you have to have a partner mindset, and they have to be somebody willing to work with you. It has to be structured, and they have to be somebody who's willing to structure things too, structure their lists and how they do it and where they do it and what they offer, all that sort of stuff. They have to be repeatable. They have to be just business relationships, okay? That's the most important part. I'm not going to dive into all that, but I'm trying to get you to think differently about getting referrals, getting word of mouth clients, and who they're coming from and who that person should be. Because if you don't know that person, like I said before, and then they vanish and they take a list with them, it hurts your business. It hurts your bottom line. It hurts the food that you put on the table or makes it non-existent. And they can't be random. They can't be just friends. They can't just be friendly, and they can't be accidental. I'm going to go even deeper because there's so much here in another episode, and I'll unpack all of that in a future episode. But before I end this episode, I know this is a lot of information. There's a lot here to unpack. And if you need to listen again, please listen again. If you need to take notes, take notes. Hopefully you'll come join us in the community and you'll get some clarity there. But before I end, I want you to get that referrals, even though I've talked a few times in this episode, like you shouldn't depend on referrals. You shouldn't depend on them. You shouldn't have dependency on them, but they are a beautiful thing. They do help grow your business. They are invaluable in your business. But if they are your only plan, then you're playing defense, okay? The wedding professionals who grow long-term don't completely eliminate their referrals. They outgrow depending on any one form of marketing. They're not dependent on any one form of marketing. That's why it's almost impossible to knock their business down. That's because they're constantly growing because they've worked so hard on each of these pillars of marketing. Their referral process is so strong and tight and designed so well, they control it. By the time a referral source leaves, another one has already stepped in. That's the beauty of it. Growth is not about doing more. It's about designing your business the way you want it to function and better. And that's why I'm so set on systems and structure and procedures and clarity and building a strong foundation, because your business is only as strong as what you've built it on. And it's got to be intentional. The systems have to be intentional for a purpose. And there has to be a season and a time where you look at all of this before you scale, before you grow. In fact, big companies that are multi-million dollar, companies that are multi-billion dollar have full teams that look at structure and what to lay out and what systems put in place before they grow, because they know it will collapse if they don't have those in place. And your small business is the same. Your small business has got to still have structure. You don't have to have a team, but you've got to have some guidance. You've got to understand what you're doing. So anyway, I'm so thankful for everyone that is listening to this podcast. This is a new season of this podcast as we move to grow my wedding business and the community and all the new things that we're putting in place. So I'm so thankful for you joining me today and just taking the time to care about building your business the right way. I want you to remember that if your business depends on other people remembering you, you don't own your growth yet. Okay? I'm going to throw that word in there, yet, because you're well on your way to growing that business. In the next episode, I am going to talk about the wedding industry lie. And I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, but it is going to be a great episode. Also, I am lining up some incredible qualified wedding professionals that own venues, that are photographers, that are officiants, that have businesses that are very successful and doing well. And we're going to dive into the things that they are doing and how you can look at that, translate it into your own business, and apply those same principles. So don't go anywhere. Keep listening. My name's Chad Muncie. This is Grow My Wedding Business. I'll talk to you again real soon. Hey, before you go, did you know I wrote a book called Wedding Pro Playbook? And it is a manual that teaches you how to take your business from zero to the top. I also created a school community specifically for wedding business owners, and you can go get the book here or go to school here. I'll see you soon.